Hello friends! So today I'm going to be talking about the link between menopause and belly fat. So maybe you're wondering, I'm eating well, I'm staying active, but I still have this extra weight around my stomach that I just don't want. And sometimes the answer lies into our hormones and the different things going on inside of our body. And also sometimes the answer lies within these daily habits and things that we're doing in our life that we can shift to help our body and our hormones work better. As we're going through perimenopause, the time before menopause, our estrogen starts to shift, our progesterone, even testosterone, and this impacts how our body stores fat. So I'm excited to share with you today and to give you some practical tips to take away. And I encourage you that if you are needing support along your health journey, I would love to support you. Maybe you're feeling stuck and you're really looking to develop consistency. Or maybe you thrive when you have accountability. Sometimes that accountability can make all the difference. And I would love to help you if you need some extra support to really reach your health goals. From my personal training app to my health coaching to really working on mindset and emotions, emotional regulation, I would love to help support you. So if you're interested, you can set up a free call down below. And on that call, we'll just get to know one another better. I'll get to hear what your goals, your struggles are. We'll see if we are a fit. You can also see the different ways to work with me down below. So reach out if you need it. Hi friends, and welcome to the Healthy Beyond 40 show. I'm Michelle, mama of 4 and military wife. And I'm passionate about helping women get healthy from the inside out so they can feel better and live their best life. Do you feel like you're struggling to lose weight and get in shape? If you're ready to develop healthier habits, exercise consistently, and lose weight sustainably, then you're in the right place. I combine my expertise from my doctorate in physical therapy to my experience as a health coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher to bring you actionable steps for a healthy lifestyle. No magic pill here, so lace up those shoes and get moving. All right, so let's get into this topic. So first, I'm going to talk about some of the different hormones and things that are changing in our body through that perimenopause, that time before menopause, which can be anywhere from 2 to 10 years, and at the beginning of menopause. And then towards the end, I'll get into some more practical tips. Now, I'm not a hormone expert per se, but I do know quite a bit about hormones. So I'm going to give you a general idea. It's important that you have a little bit of understanding about these hormones and how they work. But the most important thing is you can have all the knowledge, but you have to take action. You have to change things if you want something different. Knowledge doesn't get us there. So as we're going through perimenopause, our estrogen starts to decline, and it declines like a roller coaster. So it actually goes up way high and then it can drop. But over the course of 10 years, it's on the decline. And so when that happens and estrogen is declining overall, we can have shifts in the way that our body stores fat. So typically for most people, premenopause estrogen, when it's higher, you're going to store more fat in your hips and thighs. But as it starts to decrease, you might get more belly fat storage. We also have hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So also, as we're producing less estrogen, that causes a decrease in leptin, which leptin acts as a natural appetite suppressant, so it lowers our appetite. And then we also have, for a lot of people, sleep patterns become disrupted, and this can increase ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone. So it's going to prompt us to feel more hungry, and then we may gain weight and hold on to more weight. So there's lots of different hormones in our body that can have an effect on how our body works, an effect on how hungry we feel, or how not hungry we feel. And so even females also have the hormone testosterone in them. So it's at lower levels in women than men. And testosterone also decreases in women. So as we are getting older, the amount of testosterone will go down, and that can also affect how we're storing it. So testosterone is made in the ovaries and also the adrenal glands, so it's not completely dependent on our ovaries. But this is another hormone that can affect the way that we store fat. Another hormone that really greatly impacts how we store fat, and that changes a lot in that perimenopause to menopause phase, is insulin. So when we eat something that has some carbohydrates or our blood sugar is going up, our pancreas pumps out insulin to bring that blood sugar level down in our blood. So what happens is when we are eating too many carbs, too many sugars, and our pancreas is working overtime and we're pumping out more and more insulin, our cells become resistant to it. It's like, well, that's not enough. I actually need more to bring the level down. And so when we move into this perimenopause, menopause phase, this can be more likely to happen. It also happens when we're pregnant. We become a little more insulin resistant too. And that goes away after having the baby. But what happens when we become more insulin resistant is that we are more likely to gain weight around our stomach. So really keen in our diet, even if we haven't had to before, can really make a difference here. This is something that's within our control because how we eat makes a big impact on our blood sugar balance. So for example, making sure that we're getting enough protein, starting our day with a more protein-heavy breakfast, making sure we're not spiking our blood sugar in the day by eating these typical American breakfasts of all sorts of different carbs, bagels, pancakes, cinnamon rolls, you name it. And making sure that throughout the day, we know some different ways to manage our blood sugar, that we're not eating high-carb meals, that we're not eating carbs all by themselves, that we're doing some of the blood sugar hacks that I've talked about before. Like after we eat, we're going to get up and move because that's going to bring our blood sugar down because it takes that glucose out of our bloodstream and brings it into the muscles because, all right, I want to take a quick pause to tell you guys about some of the supplements that I use and that I love. And my first supplement recommendation, if you are not taking, is to take a high quality omega-3 oil. So I really like Zinzino's Balance Oil. I became an independent partner with them because I really love their products so much. They allow you to actually test your level of omega-3 in your blood. And omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. Most of us have way too much inflammation. And omega-3 is an essential nutrient. We have to get it through our diet. So if you are not eating fish that are high in omega-3s pretty frequently, there's a good chance your levels are low and sometimes dramatically low. And it can make such a difference in your skin, in your mental health, in your blood pressure. So I encourage you, if it's only in your budget to do one supplement, to get a high quality omega-3. There's going to be a link down below where you can check out the oil I use. And if you sign up, you'll also get a free coaching call. So we can sort of go over your report and make sure you are off on the right foot. The other product I really love is Organifi. I love their green juice, especially if you're someone who is sort of low on energy or high stress. Their green juice has a clinical dose of ashwagandha, so not just a little bit, an actual clinical dose. And this is an adaptogen herb that helps to balance stress levels and boost energy without the caffeine. I also really like their gold drink. It's a calming drink to have at night. It has lemon balm, turmeric, which is another anti-inflammatory. And with Organifi, if you use the code HEALTHY20, you're going to save 20% off. And you can use that code every time you order to save 20%. All right, so let's hop back to the episode. So the next hormone I want to talk about is cortisol. So I don't know about you, but for me, it gets really easy for stress to build up. And when stress levels are getting high, cortisol can rise, which can lead to belly fat storage in some of us. So especially if you're going through that perimenopause phase where your hormones are all over the place, you are just more prone to stress. Maybe you're not sleeping as well because of your hormones, which increases your stress. And most of us have different things in life going on that are increasing our stress. So it becomes really important to have some good stress management techniques to make sure that you are sleeping well. Because if we're not sleeping well, that can also increase hormones and lead to that belly waking. So these are important things to look at. And I think the stress and the sleep are two topics that often get overlooked because sometimes they can be a little bit harder to fix. but having some good routines and good things that calm your body. So for me, this is going to be deep breathing. It's going to be doing yoga and really just exercising daily in general. Sometimes I will also do meditation. For me, it's also prayer and reading my Bible. Maybe some other things for you is doing different mindfulness practices. Also, working with a coach or a therapist might be something that would be helpful. I'm also working on my certification in EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, or tapping, and this is a great way that I use for myself to work through feelings and emotions. I also have worked with a coach that has helped me process things using EFT. So having those tools in your toolbox that help you with stress, and also if you're having trouble sleeping, using those tools that are going to decrease any stress and anxiety you might be having so you can sleep the best that you can for whatever that means for you right now. All right, so now I'm going to go over some other practical tips. So not hormone, but things that really also impact our body and impact our hormones. And the first thing I want to talk about is eating real foods, eating whole foods, because when we're eating processed foods and we're eating a lot of processed foods, it affects the way our hormones work and our body works, the way our gut health is. So when we tend to eat more whole foods, real foods most of the time, that's going to help our body function better, and our body is going to be getting more nutrients, the inflammation is going to be lower, the stress is going to be lowered. You know, when we eat sugar and processed food, it's a stress to our body. Our body has to work harder to deal with all of that stuff versus eating whole real foods that our body is meant to have and meant to break down. And when we're eating whole real foods, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing protein. As we get older, our body has a harder time breaking down the protein we eat. So we want to make sure that we're getting enough. And most of us, it gets really easy to eat carbohydrates and overeat them. And sometimes to eat more fat than we need to. Healthy fats are good and we definitely need those, but sometimes it's just easy to eat more quantity of the fats than we need. So really being able to dial in your protein and also your fiber, because we want to help our gut health, because that helps our hormones and different things in our body work well too. And also, as we were talking about stress and sleep, the food we eat also has a big impact on our mood, our anxiety. I've spoke to people who have decreased or taken out sugar and their anxiety is dramatically less, and they never knew this before because they never decreased or cut out their sugar and saw the difference it makes. So food is powerful. We want our food to be nourishing and to be fuel to us. And we really have to understand that connection between the food we eat and what it's doing to our body and how it's making us feel, because it gets so easy to not pay attention to that stuff and to just eat what sounds yummy, which looks appetizing, to eat what we've always ate because it's a tradition, or to eat at parties. But can we start looking at how can I nourish and fuel my body so it can feel good? How can I give it the nutrients it actually needs, not just what my culture around me is eating? And then we want to make sure that we're getting enough movement. And you guys, if you've been on the podcast, you probably have heard me talk about this. Movement is just our steps in the day. And it gets real easy as we get older, or especially if we have sedentary jobs, to sit more and more. And our bodies are meant to move. So we need to make sure that we're getting movement and walking and steps in throughout our day, that we're taking the longer way to get somewhere. If we're in our house, maybe we're not asking our kid to go get us something. We're going to go get it ourselves. And just finding those different ways to get more movement in instead of being more sedentary. We want to be less sedentary. We want to move our bodies and use them. And along with that, we want to make sure that we're doing strength training, because when we're building our muscle and we have more muscle, that's going to increase our metabolism. And also, as we're getting older, if you're not doing strength training and you're not moving, you are losing muscle mass. And we need that muscle mass to keep us healthy. When we get sick or injured, our body uses that muscle mass we have. And the more we have of it, the better we'll get through illnesses or things that might pop up. And our muscle is really like the fat burning powerhouse of our body. So we have to strength train. And I recommend a few times a week of strength training. So that's where your muscles are burning and you're really working those muscles to fatigue. So for me and for most of my clients, I do this as a mix of strength training. So traditionally using weights. I do all of my workouts at home. I really don't go to a gym anymore just because of time, and it's just so much easier to work out at home. So you can use bands or free weights. And for my clients, I'll set up different workouts for them to have. And if they like doing yoga, we'll put some yoga strength workouts in there too. So you're holding a warrior pose, your leg is burning, or maybe you're in a plank. Whether you're on your knees or your toes and you're feeling those arms or that core engage, that means you're strength training. You're feeling those muscles work. And I like alternating days between yoga and traditional strength training with weights because in yoga, most of the time, you're more holding a pose. So you're going to be working different muscle fibers than if you're sort of maxing out trying to do as many reps as you can, 10 to 15 at a weight where you're lifting something heavier. So it can be nice to alternate those. And especially with yoga, you get the stretch, you get the breathing in it. I definitely know when things are more stressful with me, I will do more yoga workouts because it just makes me feel better. I get deep breathing in and I just feel so much less stressed after I do that. All right, friends, I hope that this episode was helpful to you. I hope that you have a takeaway. And I hope that you have something practical you're thinking about. Like maybe you've heard something a few times. You're like, okay, maybe that's what I need to narrow in on. So have that takeaway because information doesn't change you. Only action will change you. So take those steps that you need to. And if you need extra support, reach out to set up that free call with the link down below. And don't be shy or don't procrastinate it if you feel like it's something you're supposed to do. And if you haven't yet, join my Healthy Beyond 40 Facebook group. You can ask questions in there, share meals, and just really encourage one another. All right, friends, I hope that you guys have a great week and keep on moving.